So let me just thank you for joining us for A Queens Roundtable Show. A Queens Roundtable Show, which happens every second and fourth Sunday of the month at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I am your host, Jacqueline Kabai Harrison. And I am so super excited to have this phenomenal guest today. And in just a second, a couple seconds, I'm going to let her introduce herself. But before we go into that, I just want you to know the A Queens Roundtable Show, which again happens every second and fourth Sunday of the month, is the purpose of the show is to spotlight African American women entrepreneurs, specifically African American women that have a coaching and or consulting business. And we just kind of talk openly and honestly about the whole entrepreneurial journey and the different ups and the downs. They share some different obstacles that they may have had in the past and basically lead us or end on a positive note with how they have effectively been able to address those obstacles or those hindrances, right? So that they can continue to flourish and continue to skyrocket their business. Because the thing of it is, we all get discouraged from time to time. And as an entrepreneur, we know that this journey is not an easy journey, and it can be very challenging at times. So the hope is that we can provide inspiration, encouragement, as well as some education for you all out there that are coaches and or consultants to help you continue to grow your business. Okay, so enough said. I'm going to let my guest introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Althea Richardson. I am the founder of WOVE, which stands for Women of Vision and Excellence. And my whole mission is to inspire, encourage, and uplift women to becoming all that they were predestined to be. And that starts with restoration. So I grew up as what people want to call a base brat. I traveled all over the states with my dad, who was in the Air Force at the time when we were young. My last stop was in Dover, Delaware. Now, just let me put a disclaimer out there. Yes, there are Black people in Dover, Delaware, because I get that question a lot. Like, are there really Black people in Delaware? Yes, there are Black people in Delaware. I'm one of them. And there's a whole bunch of us out there.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I grew up as a individual that traveled a lot, and my last stop was in Dover, Delaware. And as far as my background, my family background, we attended chapel, which was the only thing that we could really attend. And going to church was just something that we did. It was something that was a good thing for us to do. And so I didn't have a real strong background in religion and stuff like that. I knew God exists. I knew about Jesus, but I didn't really have a spiritual relationship with God. So backing up just a little bit, prior to that, while my dad was away in the service, some things had taken place in my life where, long story short, I was molested at the age of 5 by someone that I was asleep. And so unbeknownst to me, this individual came into where we were staying and, kind of messed with me while I was, when I was asleep. So, but what's crazy is that I didn't realize what had happened until years later when I had attended a domestic violence workshop, in that they started talking about different things like domestic violence and sexual abuse. And so it sent a trigger in me, and flashbacks started coming. And then that's when I realized that something had happened to me. And on top of that, I asked my mom, where were we staying and who was there with us? And then she described some things about her as well. So something, I had been molested at the age of 5. So with that being the foundation in my start of my life, you have some people that go from maybe not having sex to the full extreme of being very, very active. And I was the very, very active person and looking for love in all the wrong places. And so as I grew up, went through all kinds of crazy relationships and domestic violence and things of that sort. When I got to the point where I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, that was when I found my relationship with God. And God then put in the desires of my heart to want to help other women. And so coming to today, that is my mission and my goal, is to help other women that have went through all kinds of different things in their life and may not have even addressed it in their life. And so as a result of not addressing it, they are now experiencing different obstacles and not even understanding why. And so by helping them to, first of all, resolve the past, then they're able to go forward in their purpose and then be able to reinvest into other people. So I am not only a biblical counselor, I am also a life coach that wants to help women to becoming all that they were predestined to be. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Okay. Now, what was I going to ask you? So, okay. So now at this present time, I know I may jump around a little bit. You're in Dallas. I mean, no, Houston.
Houston, yeah.
Okay. So do you work specifically with women?
I primarily work with women.
Okay.
I have talked to some men, but that has always been, because of my past, I've never been really that comfortable with talking to men. However, God has helped me to overcome some, or actually be able to minister to some men because of recent events that took place with my family with the passing of my husband. And so that opened opportunities for me to minister to them about their health from the standpoint of this is because of what happened to my husband, I don't want to see that happen to you. Therefore, this is what he did. This is what I don't want you to do. And let's get going with having a more healthier lifestyle and eating better, because the end result is you either gonna eat right or you're gonna get sick and you're going to pass away. That's just the bottom line. And I want, even especially with pastors that are so busy doing things, a lot of times they neglect their own health and they just go about their daily lives and being busy but not keeping their body and their temple healthy. And so I am willing to life coach certain men that are, like pastors that are so active that they just forget to take care of themselves.
Yeah. And my deepest sympathies. I did know that your husband passed, and this has been very recent too, within the last couple of months, right?
Yes, it was on November the 20th, which was the day after my birthday, that he passed
Okay.
away. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And what, if you don't mind me asking, he was ill? He was ill?
Well, so here's another thing about men. Men don't tend to want to talk about
Oh, okay.
how they feel as far as if they're feeling well or not. And that was one of the things that he did not do.
Okay.
He didn't tell me a lot of times that he wasn't feeling well, although, women have a sixth sense, and the wives have a sixth sense as well, is that I knew that there was something wrong, but I cannot, him being a grown man, I can't just pull stuff out of him and make him tell me that he wasn't feeling well. But long story short, what happened was the weekend before, he was experiencing chest pains. Even prior to that, when we had went to a doctor's appointment, he when they were trying to withdraw blood from him, it was so thick that they were having a very hard time taking blood out of him because he was not drinking enough water.
He's like
So
dehydrated.
exactly. So
Okay.
he wasn't drinking enough water. He wasn't eating the way that he was supposed to. He was also diabetic and he had high blood pressure.
Okay.
He was a man of God that wanted to do nothing but serve God and help others. And he had a real hard passion for that. He just did not take care of his own body. And so
Mhm.
as a result, he did suffer a heart attack.
Okay.
Because of that. So yeah.
Okay. And you have two children.
I actually have a total of five,
Okay.
but the two children that I have, they're at home with me. They're teenagers,
Oh, cool.
ages yeah, ages 17 and 15. Now
Wow.
they have been a true blessing for me
Yeah.
because we have supported each other through the journey of the loss of my husband and their father. And so what we did is we made this little chart that we put on our refrigerator and that has different moods on there. And so that's our way of kind of monitoring each other as to what type of mood that we're in so that we
Yeah.
can talk about, what's going on with them and,
Yeah. I like
just
that.
basically address the issue. Yeah.
I like that because grieving is very, very difficult. I mean, very, very difficult. And well, I don't know. For those of you out there that may not know, I'm a clinical social worker, and I've grieved a loss or grieving because in my opinion, you're always grieving. It's just a matter
Yeah.
of I'm trying not to cough, everybody. I'm still kind of getting over this cold, got a lingering cough. But my mom passed in 2006, and my brother passed in 2002. So saying all that to say, everybody grieves differently,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes sometimes unfortunately, instead of like families coming together like yours and helping each other, sometimes they kind of pull away from one another, and
Hmm.
just depending on the circumstances, sometimes they blame one another, so it's a lot of different ways that can go. And from what you're sharing, it sounds like you guys have really it sounds like you're really handling it in a very healthy manner. I mean, I love that. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even have, thought of that, but that's to
Mhm.
encourage you guys to talk about your feelings, you
Yeah.
know, and I know we always go into this, what, there's like a few topics that we always end up touching on, no matter what, when I have the interviews. And one of them is like mental health. And
Hmm.
I'm not gonna go all off task, everybody, but I'm just mentioning that because that's part of it, that
Yeah.
thing of not wanting to talk about it. Or like I remember, like I said, let's just say when my mom passed, the people around you, it's like they kind of expect, at least this is my interpretation,
Hmm.
that you're going to move on. I mean I don't know exactly how to say that. And I haven't really thought about this, so I'm kind of stumbling a little bit here.
Hmm.
But it's always kind of like they've moved on. They've, you've had the services, they've, helped out, and they've done this, they've done that. And it's kind of like, okay, so it happened, let's get everything back to the way it was. Let's get
Hmm.
settled, but the thing of it is with grief, I mean, that it's an ongoing process. You might be okay
Yes.
for like 6 months. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You may have returned to work, and you look good, you're making your money, hey, how you doing? You know what I mean? And then
Right.
all of a sudden you just kind of break down and lose it for a minute. You
Yeah.
know, you know what I mean? So I'm just
Yeah.
saying, so for us in our communities, like when we talk about mental health and the
Hmm.
grieving process and depression, a lot of times it's just kind of swept up underneath the rug because a lot of times it's not really encouraged for us to talk about our feelings. That's really what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
encouraged for us to talk about our feelings. So I just think that that is wonderful, because I know we didn't do any of that at all.
hmm
You
hmm
know.
And I've had a lot of support, a lot of Facebook support,
Sorry.
family and friends on Facebook that I have never ever met face to face in life, that I've been friends with now well over 3 years, still have not met them, but yet they they check on me, they encourage me, they will call me on Messenger or call me directly on my cell phone. So I tend to look at it as God knows how much that we can bear. And so as the process for me has gone, God gives me grace and he gives me mercy every day, even from the day that he passed. Thereafter, I of course I had my moments and everything, but there were days that I would be, like you said, would be chipper and happy and everything, and people still would be, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm good. Promise
Right.
you, I'm good."
Right.
But this is a different journey for me, and that's why I believe that it is so important that women really, really talk about what has happened or what's going on, because in grief, and whether it's the loss of a loved one, or if it's a divorce, or whatever the
Mm-hmm.
situation is,
Yep.
there's a loss
Yep.
and there's a grieving period.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to have the ability to be able to talk about
Yep.
your emotions. You have to allow yourself to cry. Allow yourself, if you have to go into a closet. One day I went into my closet in my bedroom, and I had a pillow in my hand, and I just covered my face and just screamed at the top of my lungs, "Why, Lord, why?" But while I'm doing this, there was a tapping on my window. My bedroom window. It was crazy. So I'm thinking, I hear this tapping noise, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's my daughter, and I don't want to get them upset or anything. So I stop, and then I listen, and then I just, came out of the closet and everything, and I'm still having a conversation with God. And yes, that is one of the things that I highly recommend anybody have a conversation with God, because He's definitely listening to you when you are talking. And so I'm asking, calling out to God, and trying to understand. And I hear this tapping noise again. I'm like, okay, what is that? So I look towards my window, where the way my bedroom is. The window is behind my bed. The headpost part of it is, the window is behind there. And I kept hearing this tapping noise, and I look, and it was a red robin.
Mm.
It
Okay.
was a red robin, which is
Okay.
a symbolizing blessing and peace.
Okay.
And so this particular red robin, it was not uncommon for my husband and I to see red robins anyway. Usually around the time it was, if we were going through something or whatever the case was, when we had this red robin knocking on our window, it was like, okay, there's red, checking on us, I guess. I don't know. But that day, this was like a couple of days after the funeral that this happened. And so I knew from that point on that I would be okay.
Wow.
That God was with me, and is still with me. So, like I said, it's not to say that I don't have my moments and everything, but because of the strength of God, and who I serve and who I depend on completely and totally, I'm good. I really am. So,
I mean, that's. Oh, thank you for sharing it. That is so powerful. No, he'll try not to cough. That is so powerful. Wow.
yeah.
So let me just get a minute to gather myself over here. Mm. But yeah. So I was gonna ask you now. Okay. So I know you talked to us about where you grew up and being an army brat, right?
Yeah.
So are you from a are you from a large family? And is your family, do they all live in Texas or?
Um, well, as far as my family, my dad on my dad's side of the family, it's pretty small.
Okay.
I have two brothers on my dad's side, and then I have two brothers on my mom's side. They
Okay.
all my brothers. I'm the oldest and the only
Oh,
girl.
well,
So
okay.
yeah.
That's a
So
different dynamic. Me too.
oh yeah, yeah. And what's interesting is that it was the opposite for my husband. He was the oldest and the
Okay.
only boy,
Okay.
and he had three sisters.
Okay.
So but yeah, our family, it's not that big, as far as my between my dad and my mom. Now with my husband's family is pretty big, and so we are really close in that,
Okay.
especially my sisters and everything. And I say my sisters because I don't say, this is my sister-in-law and everything. That's just the way I've always been. They're all my sisters, and so we have a pretty close-knit family.
That's such a blessing. Because everybody doesn't have that. That is such a
Yeah.
blessing. That's such a blessing. Okay, so that tells us a little bit about how you grew up and, part of your up to the present day, part of your network now.
Hmm.
And that sounds like you have a lot of support, which is, like I said, wonderful. So let's segue into the business part, your WOVE Inspiration. So let us know, how did that business come about, and what is your why behind that business? I mean,
Sure.
elaborate a little bit more for us.
Okay. So, like I said, WOVE stands for Women of Vision and Excellence. And so, one of the things that I do, as you mentioned, is WOVE Inspiration. WOVE Inspiration is my podcast, of
Okay.
which I do a lot of interviewing of different people
Okay.
from all walks of life who basically have gone through obstacles of themselves and have overcome them and have become very successful in either their business or their ministry or their music artists or whatever God has given them, and now they're wanting to use their voice to let the world know, hey, this is how I was able to overcome my obstacles. Let me share this with you. And in addition to giving individuals opportunities to share their products, to share their businesses, to share their books if they're authors, and their music as well. Now, with WOVE Ministries has the biblical counseling and the life coaching.
Okay.
And so, with that, I have a program that I do. It's just called the Victory Walk. And it's a three-part process for that. So, for the Victory Walk, there is the restoration part. Then there is the life coaching where I help them determine their purpose in life. And then the final part is the investing, not only investing in themselves, but making it a full circle to where when they have become successful and accomplished in everything, they take their story and they share it with someone else. And then the cycle continues because the whole goal is, again, is to help women to becoming all that they were predestined to be. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So that's the podcast, which
Right.
is where you interview individuals, allow them to talk about different things that they've gone through, sharing their life experiences, as well
Right.
as being able to highlight their businesses.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the
A lot of
ministry.
the Yeah, a lot of the artists or a lot of the individuals that I've had on there, I've been focusing on more on the mental health, and I'm
Okay.
glad that you brought up the mental health as well as sexual victims of sexual abuse or domestic violence, because that topic I don't think has been really talked about more often, especially within the African American community. We are prone to not want to talk about our past, that we want to just sweep it under the rug and act like it didn't happen. But in us using our voice, we are not only helping ourselves to go forward, but we may be helping someone else
Yes.
to be able to go forward as well. And so the whole aspect of WOVE Inspiration is allowing women, men, whoever, to use their voice to help other people, because if we have the ability to talk, why not
Why
use
not?
your voice?
Mm-hmm.
Why not help somebody else? Because it's really not about us anyway.
Yeah. And you know what? Like you said, when you talk and share your story, that helps you, and it also helps others. Because I
Right.
know it was a very long time that I didn't think I had anything to share. Actually, you know what? I want to go into that in a minute.
Sure.
So help me to remember, because sometimes it's like I'm listening and I think of different things I want to add or ask,
Hmm.
but excuse me, I don't want to interrupt you. So let's go
Oh,
back
sure.
to that one about having a voice and the fact that your voice matters.
Hmm.
Okay, but before we go into that, when you mentioned about the African American community and
Hmm.
how a lot of times we just want to sweep things under the rug,
Yeah.
why do you think that is so? Well, in your opinion.
I believe that it goes all the way back to when we were slaves, and
Okay.
that if we said certain things, we would get in trouble. If we used our voice that was assigned to the slave owners that we were trying to be or trying to take over, or whatever the case was. And so a lot of times we would just stay silent or have to do things in silent in order to be able to go forward and grow on a slower pace. Well, it's generation after generation where if you tell somebody about so and so, then you're going to be looked upon as whatever. It's always been a negative thing to tell someone about something. If Uncle Tom or Uncle Joe or whatever is molesting little girl in our family, you either don't say anything, or you just like, well, I don't want to tell, I don't want to get in their business now. I don't want to say nothing because it might start a big old fighting issue. And I'm like, but the issue still needs to be addressed. And
Right.
so we have a tendency to just either we see it and we act like we don't want to see it, but we
Right.
see it and
Mm-hmm.
don't want to acknowledge it, because it then opens up a lot of discussion that really people don't want to open up. And so it's a problem, or it is a problem, I know, in my family, and I'm sure in a lot of other families, that you just don't say nothing. What stays in this house,
Yeah.
whatever is going on in this house, stays in this house,
I was just
and
getting
you
ready to
leave it
say
at that.
that. Yep, because
Yeah.
that's how it was when I was growing up.
Hmm.
It was like, listen, you don't go talking to people, whether it be people at school or either other family members. You don't go
Right.
talking to nobody about what's happening in this house. You know what I mean? Like you said, it's that, and this comes up all the time.
Yes,
I'll
it
say
does.
more often than not that a lot of us were raised that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of us were
it's
raised that way.
unfortunate, but that's why my mission and goal is to help Black women to talk about everything. I don't care what it is. Talk about it. Find somebody to talk to, because it is not benefiting you to walk around in hurt and chains and bondage, because the past will not allow you to keep being able to go forward if you still don't use your voice. You have to use your voice so that you can heal from your past.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I think it's so important, these, you know, different types of forums to be able to give us an opportunity to speak. Because like I had
Right.
mentioned earlier, it it up until not that long ago, I didn't really think that anybody could really benefit from my story. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? I didn't even really see myself necessarily as having a voice, and I know that I'm not alone out there. I know some of you may be watching and you still feel like you don't have a voice. Or some of you may feel like you have a voice, but maybe only for the past year. It's been very
Hmm.
recent, but our stories are so important. And like you said, it's very therapeutic to talk about it, It's very therapeutic once you begin to, admit, admit and actually talk about things
Right.
openly and, honestly, and that, it's very therapeutic for you, as well as it can be the start of someone else starting to heal. You
Yeah.
healing and the start of someone else beginning to heal.
hmm One of the things that when I started podcasting, I really wasn't sure what I was doing
Oh wait,
at
wait,
all.
before you go on, how long have you
Oh
been
yeah.
doing that? The podcast.
This is actually it'll be over 2.5 years now,
Okay.
and I have interviewed well over 150 people in the
Really?
last 2 years.
And
Yeah.
how often do you do it?
Well, at one point I was interviewing 3 people in a night, and then the way that podcasting works, I do my interviews through Zoom and the recording of the audio, and then it is shared the following week. So it was Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Fridays
Okay.
being Feel Good Friday with the music artist, but because it was becoming way too much for me, I've cut it down to now Mondays and Wednesdays. So on Mondays, I have Monday motivation, and then on Wednesdays is midweek motivation. That I
Okay.
have either a artist, or I'll have any other variety of different guests on my show. So
Okay.
yeah, I've been doing
Now,
that now for over 2.5 years.
now is that what I did with you? Is that part of your podcast, or that's something totally
No,
different?
that's something
Okay.
we still need to do.
Okay. You know
Yeah,
what?
we
So yeah,
definitely need to do that.
so I didn't. So you know what? Afterwards, well, once we finish later on today, when you get a minute, email me a link, because I definitely would be interested in getting some more information about your
Okay,
podcast. That's cool.
absolutely.
All right. I
Yeah,
don't even
yeah.
know. I'm trying to think. I've been doing this show now. Gosh, has it been? I don't know if it's been 2.5 years or maybe 3. I'm so bad with that. I don't even know how many people I've interviewed. Wow.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that when you're doing something that you love to
Yeah.
do, you don't really think
Mm-hmm.
about,
Yep.
how much time you've been doing it, or
Yep.
how many people that you've interviewed. And the only
Mm-hmm.
reason why I know how many I have interviewed is because of the number of shows that I have on my podcast
Okay.
platform. So yeah.
Okay, that is so cool. Wow. All right. It seems like it was something else we were going to say. We were talking about um, how the therapeutic nature of talking,
Yeah.
and how you help heal yourself and help heal others. And what else? It was something else that I was saying we were going to go back and talk about. Did we talk about it?
I think we definitely addressed the family aspect, as
Mm-hmm.
far as talking and why African Americans don't talk
Right.
about their feelings, and how, where it began and everything. But
All right.
so
That's what it was. Okay.
yeah,
That's what
so
it
yeah,
was.
we
So,
definitely addressed
yeah, so
that.
it was talking about sweeping it under the rug, and you mentioned that it goes back
Yeah.
to, slavery,
hmm
and, like not using our voice, and being fearful of, talking too much, and what that meant, for the, what
Right.
the, right, for the family to be safe. Because at
Right.
that time, anything could jeopardize the family. Just even existing
Yeah.
could jeopardize the family. And then we kind
Yeah.
of talked a little
Exactly.
bit about how that translated into, modern day.
hmm
And then I was talking about the importance of platforms such as mine, such as yours, and all of you, the others out there that give us an opportunity to speak. You know what I
hmm
mean? And to actually, so that way other women can know that they have a voice, and that it's, they have something to say.
Yeah.
Not only to benefit
Absolutely.
themselves, but to benefit others.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So we've talked a little bit about how you grew up, your why behind your business, how your business came about.
hmm
So let me ask this next. What would you say has been a big challenge for you, whether it be, personal, or, whether in your personal life or in your business? And I know that they both can, they're both intertwined, but
hmm
what would you say has been your biggest challenge, and how did you address that?
hmm So I would have to say that the biggest challenge, it goes back to the loss of my husband,
Okay.
in that, him and I we had the ministry. We also had a chaplaincy program it's called UCRA, which is United Chaplains Right Along Association. And
Okay.
so as we were on the beginning stages of building that up, and we had a lot of people that wanted to get involved. And so when he passed away, it was like, okay, now what do we do? Because the majority of it, or the main part of it, was the ride-alongs with the police officers. Because police officers experience PTSD, that was something that he noticed when he did ride-alongs, and so that was his passion and heart, was to help the police officers. My part is doing the providing resources for the police officers, in that if, let's say, for example, an individual, they go into a domestic dispute
Mhm.
situation, and the woman is having to leave. From what from what I was told, a lot of times they don't know where to take women when they're taking them out of that type of environment. And so they actually would put that woman in a holding cell until someone would be able to come in and pick her up. Now, imagine, if you will, you have someone that has just experienced a big blowout or whatever, and domestic violence, period. Okay. And then you have the police officer, they take you away from that environment, but then they put you in a holding cell until somebody comes and gets you. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So my role was to provide resources for that individual, in that it's just a matter of a phone call. Hey, I have this person here who has gone through this, this, and this. Do you have a bed available? And it's a
Okay.
matter of them just taking them from one spot to another, as opposed to, taking them to a cell while
Okay.
they're waiting for somebody to pick them up. So going back to your question, when he passed away, it was like, okay, well, what do we do now? This was it was primarily his vision, his passion for helping police officers, and as a small church, working alongside, trying to build it up. And then when he passed away, it's like, well, we are still now trying to not only get over the fact that he passed away, but now try to put the pieces back
Mhm.
together again to the best of our ability. So, in trying to do that, we actually, as a ministry, went into prayer, and a fast for 21 days. And having done that, we are now able to be connected with a lot of other pastors that are wanting to join in with our organization. I am putting together a lot of resources, connecting with a lot of places here in Houston. We just, God has just been sending a lot of people to us that are saying, "Hey, yeah, I want to help you guys continue the vision." In addition to, with our outreach ministry and church as well. So the challenge may be overwhelming at first when
Mhm.
you are dealing with a situation that it's like, well, how am I supposed to deal with this? It's overwhelming. But when you seek God first in everything that you do, then He will give you the provision and the vision and way of figuring out how to go about it. And it'll just be laid out for you, and all you have to do is just walk in it. So that's my only way of doing it, is always being led by God in everything that I do. And in whatever obstacles that come up against you, you can always rely on Him to guide you in every step of the way.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because the other piece, or I know you're going to provide us with some education or some different tools and techniques. And then let me see, the name of your topic is knowing your purpose. Okay.
Yes.
So before we go into that, I always like to ask all of my guests, how do you ensure that you practice good self-care? Actually, it's three last things that I'll ask, and
Okay.
you could decide what order you want to answer them in. The first one is, how do you ensure that you practice good self-care?
Hmm.
What advice would you give to a younger version of yourself? And tell us something interesting about you, something that people will be like, really? They would be surprised to hear.
Woo, yeah. Well, let me start off with that one. That way, the
Okay.
shock. Well, it may not be too much of a shock to a lot of people, but
Okay.
there's two things about me that people may not know. One of them is that I am a gospel hip hop fan to the core. I love gospel hip hop. I
Okay.
can listen to that all day, every day. I am a big fan of it. I've been a big fan of hip hop anyway, but
Okay.
not the hip hop of today.
Right.
I'm talking about 90s. I'm talking about Eric B and
Right.
Rakim and
Okay.
all. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
that's old school for real.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of hip hop,
Okay.
and I am also I can't say I'm a gamer anymore, but I used to be a gamer as
Is it
well, with
video games?
as in video
Really?
games. Yes, ma'am. Yes, we
Okay.
have a console in every bedroom.
Hmm. So do you play it with your kids?
I do. I
Okay.
do.
All right.
I would say I'm a big kid at heart. I really
Okay.
am. And that's why I can talk to teenagers all day, every day, because teenagers are gonna be real and raw with you. But having been there, done that, bought a t-shirt, a cap, and anything else
Mm-hmm.
you can think of, I can definitely be
Okay.
real and raw with them as well. And they
Okay.
tend to, relate to me better. So
Okay.
yeah, that's my big thing.
Okay. Yeah, that was
As far
interesting.
as yeah, as far as self-care,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I am now learning to uh, take care of myself. In that, when my husband was alive, I it was always about making sure that everybody else was taken care of, and I always put myself last. And so I have to be honest in saying that I am learning how to do that now.
Okay.
For the first time, with it being this past Valentine's Day,
Mm.
I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. But I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to go see a movie. And that's what I did. I went and saw a movie. I regret seeing it now, but because it was a waste of 2 hours. It was Harley Quinn, the
Oh,
new movie Harley Quinn. It was horrible. It
I
was
thought
the
you were gonna
worst
say,
movie ever.
you know that black love story that came out, what is it, the
Yeah.
photograph? I thought you were gonna say that. You went and saw that.
No, no. Because
Didn't
see,
see that.
again,
Okay.
okay, so here's another thing about me. I
Okay.
am also into Marvel comics and things of
Okay.
that
Okay.
sort.
Okay. All right.
so so I
All
went and
right.
saw that. It was a waste of money,
I'm
but
sorry.
it was the experience
Mm-hmm.
of being able to go somewhere by myself.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of awkward for me
Okay.
because my husband and I always went to
Oh, you
different
did.
places.
So you
Yeah,
guys did
we
a
did.
lot of things together.
We did
Like
a
always
lot of
done.
things
Okay.
together.
Okay.
So having done this, I actually felt proud of myself being able to go to a movie by myself. And now
Okay.
it's like, no big deal. There's nothing wrong with going out to dinner by yourself or
Mm-hmm.
going to a movies by yourself. It's just pampering yourself and allowing yourself to enjoy you.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids encouraged me to do that as well. It's like, Mom, go to a movie, do something. I'm like, okay, And so I
Mm-hmm.
took that chance.
Okay.
Another thing that I do is I listen to a variety of music, and one of the other things is I listen to jazz, and just smooth jazz, and I just sit and I just listen. I you know, just chill is
Okay.
basically what I do. Just to tune out the noise, tune out all of that. And then, of course, the main thing that I do is I'm always in my word. I stay in reading devotionals. That is a main thing for me, especially early in the morning, is to get to know God even more, of which he then in turns helps me to get to know who I am as a woman of God, so that I'm more effective with the people that he brings across my path, and so that I'm able to be effective in helping others as well. So let's see. The younger version of me. Wow. Well, one of the things I would have to tell my younger version is me is do not be afraid to do things. I had a low self-esteem when I was younger, and that's a part of, events that had taken place in my life. And so I was always afraid to do things. I was always afraid that people would think there was something wrong with me, or people would think that I just never thought I was good enough to do anything, essentially. So now if I had to tell my younger self, what I say to my younger self is that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, that you are more than a conqueror. You are a victor and not a victim, that nothing is impossible with you. When you have God in your life, he can make things that seem impossible possible. And so you too are a conqueror.
I like that. You
Yes.
are, let me see if I get this right. You are not a victim, but a victor.
I am a victor.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like that. I like that. And I think that's very common, with a lot of young African American women, because again, I experienced that, and a lot of women that I talk to, a lot of times that in not those exact words, but something along those lines is very common, that when they were younger, they were, very fearful, a lot of self-doubt, basically not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough. So what happens when you have those types of beliefs, you keep yourself inside a little box, because, and I'm not saying sometimes it's not people around you, but the biggest prison that we have is a lot of times in our own minds, in us boxing ourselves in and saying, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm not worthy of this, I'm not worthy of that. So that comes up a lot. So, hear that, as I'm pretty sure you probably would agree, as a child of God, you can do anything and everything. You know what I mean?
Amen.
You are limitless, right? You just have to tap into it. You just have to believe it, because it all starts in here. Because if you think you can, you can. If you don't think you can, you're not.
Amen.
Because you're not going to even try. That's half the battle right there. You don't. Like in my opinion, there's no such thing as a failure. You only fail if you don't try.
Right.
If you don't try, Okay, so I don't want to take up too much time. Okay, so I want you to end on the note of talk about your topic, which is, let me just say it again, is knowing your purpose, and then end off on the note of letting them know where they can find you, if you have any upcoming projects that you're working on. So end on those couple of notes.
Absolutely. So what I think about purpose, let me make sure that people at least understand the difference between a calling and purpose. So a calling for people is when, and this, I'm going spiritual now. So a calling is when you have accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior. You are called to him to want to have him in your life. Your purpose is where God continues from there and implanting what he wants you to do, for the predestined plan that he has for you. So let's say, for example, based on Psalms 37:4, it says, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. So in reading that scripture, a lot of times we would see it as he will give you the things that you want, that you most desire in your heart. The things, it could be, I don't know, material things. It could be making a certain amount of money. It could be making, I don't know, having a house, having a car. It could be any number of things, having children, if you're not able to and you desire to have children. And so, but then I looked at this scripture as that God is the one that puts the desire in your heart. So if I read it again, he will give you the desires of your heart. So when you have gone through something in your life, it is not by happenstance that you've gone through that. Is it a fun thing? No. Did you want to go through all of the drama and everything that you experienced in your life? No. But it was for an overall purpose, in that when you have overcome that and then you have developed a relationship with God, he will give you the desire to want to help other people. He wants you to fulfill the purpose and plan that he has for you, and not necessarily the purpose that you had in mind.
Okay.
Case in point, my desire initially was I wanted to be a counselor. I still do. I still am a counselor.
Okay.
A counselor. I wanted to be in the world counseling, in the psychology, and I went to school, got my degree and things, I did all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And my thinking was, okay, I have my degree, I'm good to go. Let's go out here and get the job. Well, for 2 years, I did not find a job. I did not find anything in my field. And I'm like, Lord, what is going on?
Okay.
I went to school for all of this. Now what am I supposed to be doing with this degree?
Mm-hmm.
And so it even got to the point where I got to the point where I was about to go into an orientation. And on the day before the orientation, they called me and said, I'm sorry, Miss Richardson, but we had to give the position to another person. Yeah, that devastated me. Yeah, that devastated me to the core.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop. I can't. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this is happening. I have this desire to want to, work in the social worker or whatever realm, and specifically domestic violence and everything, but that the doors just never open.
Okay.
So I had to make the decision to stop and say, okay, Lord, let your will be done. Not my will, but your will. And you have put this desire in my heart to help people, but I don't know which direction you want me to go. And so as I allowed myself to just be content in the state that I was in, and I work for
sometimes, right? That's hard.
Tell me about it. Now, I do work in a mental health facility as a care coordinator, so I'm kind of in my element, and I'm able to help people, but there's still this desire to want to help more. And so having this desire, I'm going to keep going until God tells me which way to go. Long story short, he gave me the desire to want to put together my own program, which is Victory Walk. And he put that together, helped me put that together. And so I am now able to help other women who might get stuck in the fact that they're not sure which direction to go. And the first thing that I say, well, have you talked to your father about your purpose? Because he's the manufacturer. He's the one that had put us together, who created us. So it would be to your advantage to seek him for your purpose in life. So you're not having to go around in circles trying to figure out, because things aren't working. A lot of times when that door doesn't open, that's not the right door for you. So it pays to sit and wait and talk to him and say, okay, which direction? And when you do that, I promise you, when that door opens, you better be ready to walk through.
I have to say this, that I'm kind of going through something in, in my life right now. I'm working as a social worker, and I had, there was an opportunity that presented itself that I thought was for me, and that door didn't open. It's like I'm at the door and I'm banging, like, I'm out here, I'm here, open it. Coming to find out, it didn't happen. It was like, kind of like a letdown from, like, oh, okay, they hired
Mm-hmm.
somebody else. And so sometimes it's hard to recognize that at the time, that, what,
Yeah.
maybe that particular opportunity, it wasn't your opportunity, or maybe it just wasn't the right time. So
Right.
sometimes it
Yeah.
gets sometimes it's a little more challenging than others. But
Yeah.
I know for me that comes right on time. I'm pretty sure other people, even if they're not listening now, maybe if you guys catch the replay, you might be like, wow, yes. Either maybe you're going through it now, or you just went through it, or, I definitely think that's very relatable. So I'm so glad you shared that.
Yeah, it's just, we eventually will find our purpose, but one of the things that God wants us to do is to draw near to him and allow him to help us to discover who we are. The closer that we draw near to him, the more closer that he draws near to us, and we discover even more about ourselves and our strengths and our weaknesses, and helps us work out those things that may hinder us later on down the line
Right.
to go in the direction the purpose that he has for us. So it all boils down to drawing near to God. I am a big advocate of making sure that if you don't have a relationship with God, hey, get to know him. Find a have some conversations with him. I talk to him every day, and people would probably think I was crazy while I'm driving in my car, like looking like I'm talking to myself. I'm like, no, I'm talking to God, because I always have to seek wisdom from him. And that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing that we also have to keep in mind, is wisdom is unlimited, according to James 1:5. We can ask for wisdom from God, and he will give it to us liberally. And so in any direction, anything that you want to do in your life, make sure that you seek God first in everything that you do. And your purpose, you will fulfill your purpose for sure, because it'll be in line according to the steps that he has ordered for you.
Right. Do you think some women may be a little embarrassed because they're, in their 40s, let's just say, and they still don't know what their purpose is? Because I could so see somebody saying that, I'm a little old for that, like actually just being a little embarrassed to even
Hmm.
come to someone maybe such as yourself, or some of the other coaches out there, looking, I need some help finding my, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Have
Yeah.
you ever encountered that at all? From anyone being a
I
little embarrassed about it?
I actually, yeah. There are people that, have decided in later in their life that they wanted to go back to school, but they felt like, I'm not, I'm too old. I got
Yeah,
grandkids, and I'm
right.
talking
What
about
I
going
look
back to
like in
school.
somebody's class?
Right, exactly. I'm with these young people in here, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you are never too old to receive knowledge,
Hmm.
more knowledge, more knowledge. And that's basically an education, is acquiring the knowledge that you need to be able to do what you're wanting to do. And so there is no age limit there. I mean, you can look on Facebook and see that there are women that are well in their
For
80s
some reason
and
your
70s and
mic is
80s.
your mic is, and I don't know if it's just on my end or if they can actually hear it on the recording, but it's sounding real muffled.
Hmm.
Like,
Can you hear me now? How do I sound?
okay, sounds much better now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are, I mean, all throughout on Facebook, I see all the time that there are older women that have just
Mhm.
graduated from college, because for,
Right.
whatever reasons during their lifetime, they came against some obstacles that hindered
Hmm.
them from being able to finish.
Hmm.
So there is the ability to go back to school. There is the ability to start a job at any
Hmm.
time, or
Hmm.
start your own business. A lot of times when you're unhappy in a business that or a job that you're in, it's probably because
Hmm.
you are supposed to have your own business.
Yeah.
And you're that the one thing that will hinder you from wanting to start your own business is fear. Don't allow
Mm-hmm.
fear to keep you from your destiny and your
Mm-hmm.
purpose.
You know,
Do
because
not.
a lot of us have gone to school, and we have professions, and maybe at one time we felt fulfilled doing that. But
Hmm.
as you grow, you change, you evolve, you know, and you might feel differently. Like I've been in this field since like the mid 90s, so it's okay. And some people feel like, oh, well, this is what I'm doing now. And, I feel like I'm going through the motions, I'm not fulfilled, but they still feel like they're, fearful. I'm doing
Yeah.
something else because this is what they know. And it's like, okay, well,
Hmm.
what do I look like, you know, leaving this job, with a pension and this and that and the other,
Hmm.
and, going to start my own business, you know, but
Yeah.
I know like for me, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to, I mean, there's a few reasons, but that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do my business is because it is so exciting to me to see an individual and to see them light up when they talk about something. And
Yeah.
it's just an amazing feeling to be doing something that like walking in your purpose. Like
Hmm.
I can't even describe it. I mean, like you said, like if being at work, it's like, okay, it's 10 o'clock. Okay. Do a little more work. Okay.
Yeah.
It's 10:30. Okay. When
Yeah.
can I get up out of here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just something about doing something that you feel good about, doing something
Hmm.
that feels so in line with you. And just to be able to talk to women and just to see how excited they are about
Yeah.
doing what they do. And I think that's a beautiful thing because if you
Yeah.
are passionate about it, you know what I mean? You're inspired. It feels good to you. It's in line. To me, you are bound to be much better at that versus forcing yourself. Now, maybe for some people, it may be okay. I don't
Hmm.
want to say that. Some people, it's okay. But if it's not okay with you, acknowledge that it's not okay and do something about it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I
One
mean?
of the things that people don't understand is that if you have a passion or for something, you know that you are in your
Mhm.
purpose when you
Yeah.
can do it for free
Mm.
and with no problem whatsoever. When you don't have to worry about
Yep.
somebody giving you money for what you are doing, that you
Mm-hmm.
are so excited and
Yep.
happy that you're
Yep.
doing it, that you're in your element, that's your purpose.
Stick with
That
it.
is your purpose, and stick
Yep.
with it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hmm.
Like you said,
Definitely.
you're not getting any compensation for it. You're getting
Yeah.
fed. You just, it may not be monetarily, but you're
Right.
getting, you're
Right.
you're you're being fed by it, which means that
Right.
you are on the right track.
Hmm. And the compensation will come.
Yeah.
If you are in line with what your purpose is, according to what
Mm-hmm.
God's will is for your life, the finances will come because He will make sure that you have everything that you need, and He will throw in bonuses every now and then.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Absolutely.
Wow. So did we cover everything?
Well, I wanted to let everyone know as
Okay.
far as what I offer,
Right.
that I
Right.
do offer biblical counseling as well as life coaching. Now, the biblical counseling part, well, actually, biblical counseling and life coaching, I do it for free. Yes, I do it for free. Why? Because I have a heart and passion and desire to help women to becoming who they were predestined to be. And so, if you are interested in being I can actually do it online as well. So I
Okay.
do online counseling as well as one-on-one if you are here in the Houston area. Go to my website, which is www.althea, which is ALTHEAM as in Mary, Richardson, RICHARDSON MA.com. Yeah, I know it's long, but
You
but
know
that's
what?
my. Mhm.
Don't kill me, but I want to put that in.
Okay.
And I completely missed it there. You know what it was? You know what?
That's
I was
okay.
looking down, and the thing of it is, it's like I have to go into it a different way in order to see the comments. And there's a couple people that joined us and commented, and I'm so sorry,
Okay.
y'all. I got so involved and everything, but I'm gonna write. I got my pencil. Let me write it down. But I just want to
Okay.
acknowledge Miss Alicia and Miss Stacy and Vi. Thank you guys so much for joining. I don't know if you're still on with us, but thank you for joining. I know everyone, I know it's a Sunday.
Yeah.
And some people may not have time, but thank you, ladies, so much for joining. Okay, so give me, because I'm gonna put it in, but tell me one
Sure.
more time. I'm writing it down. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So it's Althea, which is Althea, M as in Mary, Richardson, which is RICHARDSON,
Mm-hmm.
M as in Mary, A as in Apple.com. So that's the website that you can go to get more information on what I do, what I offer,
Okay.
um, and how to get in contact with me directly. Now, the appointments, because the service, of course, is free, the appointments are on a appointment only. So you have to make an appointment and then we schedule it from there. Because I can imagine if I had, because I'm offering this free, you're like, okay, there's a whole bunch of people getting in contact with me. I'm like, I'd love to help you,
Yeah, be
but we have
lined up.
to, yeah. So, but you have to set up an appointment with me and just reach out to me. Also on my podcast, if you are interested in being a guest on my show, you want to share your voice, share your product, your business, share your story behind your business, as well as if you're a music artist and you want to share your music as well. You can email me at WOV as in Victor E inspiration at gmail.com.
Okay.
Okay. And you can find me. I am on Facebook, actually all social media platforms for WOVE Inspiration. I am on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I also have my own personal Facebook page, and WOVE Ministries is on Facebook as well, which is WOVE 05. That's how you would find WOVE Ministries.
Okay, I think I have your website correct here. That is kind of a long one.
Yeah.
Let me just see if it lights up here. Okay, I believe I put it in correctly. Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I don't, and so you have a page. I'm not even sure if I'm follow your page. I'm gonna have to go and look it up. But you said it's under WOVE Inspiration, right?
Yes.
Okay, I have to go and look it up. But okay.
Yes.
All right.
And I think the other thing was the latest project of which
Yes.
you and I are on. I am so, oh my gosh. Okay, so you guys, I have never, ever, ever written a book before.
Me
I
either.
never had a desire to write at all. But because of Miss Wonderful Dr. Carolyn Stevens, she blessed my soul, and I have to give her props because she has been a major, major inspiration to me and a blessing to me. All of y'all have been a blessing to me, even when I was going through, the loss of my husband, all of the prayers and everything. It was a major blessing to me. So the name of our book project is I Am a Black Woman Next Level.
Okay.
And we are definitely going on another level for real. And we want to take other women as well to the next level. I'm sharing my story as well as Jacqueline. You're sharing your
My
story
story
too,
too.
right? Yep,
Yep.
she's sharing her story, and it's gonna be something. There's a lot of things in there about my story that a lot of people don't know, and so there's gonna be side popping and like, God, what in the world? And some people may even look at me differently. I don't know. But you know what? It's all good because, God helped me to get through a whole lot of things. And it just shows that if I can get through that, if I can get through that and I can get through that, you can too. So I am looking forward to that book coming out. I believe it's in August,
I was
right?
just gonna say that in August. So the launch is
Yes.
anticipated for August. So just, stay tuned as we go along.
Yes.
There's different events that we'll be, inviting you guys to, as well as when it's time to, pre-order the books and so on and so forth. So just be on the lookout for that. It's the I Am a Black Woman Next Level. And it's us, and I don't even know how many other people on the project, but it's men and women.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's quite a few of us. So just be on the lookout.
Yes.
It's
I'm
gonna
real
be it's
excited
gonna be
about
so
it.
awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. So
Definitely.
yeah. Yeah. So
But
that's
yeah.
excellent. So thank you so much. So also, ladies, so thank you for those that have joined us. Thank you for those that will catch the replay. Also, please tag a coach or a consultant as well as share this video out. Okay, you never know who may need to get this message or who may benefit from this message. So please do that. You know, get the word out, share it out. Like I said, tag a coach or consultant. Also, I was gonna say something else. I forgot just that quick. I'm going to say, get the word out, tag a coach or consultant, and those that will catch the replay, thank you so much. And also, if you have any questions or comments or concerns or whichever, put them in the comments. We'll definitely go back and address it. Okay. So feel free, even if, you know, like I said, you're catching a replay, or either just let us know that you are a replay viewer. Okay. And that what you got out of it or what was beneficial to you, what resonated with you, please. I'd like to hear it. I'm sure Ms.
Yeah.
Richardson here would like to hear it as well. So definitely do that. And again, this is A Queen's Roundtable Show, which happens every second and fourth Sunday of the month at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, I have a few links included at the bottom, or shall I say at the top of the video, but at the bottom of the narrative, which is I have her website, so you can link up with her, you know, maybe for a speaking engagement, your, you know, counseling session, maybe collaboration, whatever the case. And then I also have a link for YouTube, because this video is also going to be on my YouTube channel. I have a link for my podcast, which is on Anchor. And what other link do I have? I think those are the three links. The podcast. Oh, and I also have a link if you were interested in being a guest on the show. Okay, so I have those three links. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I know I have. It was very informative.
Yes.
Very nice chatting with you, which I knew it would be, but I really enjoyed it. I really did.
Yes, thank you so much for allowing me to share my voice on your show today, and I really hope and pray that it makes a difference in someone's life.
I hope so too. I'm sure it will. And then when you get a minute, send me your link about your podcast when you get a
I
minute.
sure will.
All right,
Absolutely.
ladies. Good afternoon, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And thanks again for joining us. And until next time. All right. Bye, ladies.
Bye-bye.